tweeted something like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I got a phone call from somebody in his office. 3
Surprised you
minutes
didn't
later.
get 14 phone calls and a text from Melissa telling you fucking vile, nasty
You're
bitch.
a bad person.
You're a bad, fucking, nasty, fucking,
Well, unlike Ron
bastard.
Kim, I just simply didn't answer the phone. All right, y'all.
We're back. We're
semi-back.
We're semi-back.
We're kind of back.
We're not back for a whole... We're kind of doing a...
Fully back yet. We do whatever the hell
We just dropped our season 2 finale, but we decided, hey, there's a lot going on,
There's
and
a few things
we'd be
going on in
remiss
New York State.
if we didn't engage ourselves.
Yes. We know y'all are clamoring, for some more content for our thoughts on what's going on in the world.
Yeah, I mean, we really want to like keep it a stack with y'all. It's obviously we want to talk about Cuomo. Yeah. That's all we want to talk about. That's really all we want to talk about. Yeah. It's been it's been a weird couple weeks. I've been in and out the hospital, guys. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but like,
I don't know if anyone's noticed my woes.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
I'm breaking down.
I am.
Please look.
Y'all couldn't see this. I have a leg brace on and I have my leg.
Yes, they cannot see.
It's rough. Like, I could not walk for a hot second. That shit was scary, bruh.
He hobbled to the door to come let me in.
It was. I'm like, honestly, I was so scared. I was like, oh my God. I was like, please, Lord. Like, I know this.
This is it.
Like, this is it. Like,
this is the big one.
This is the end of the line. Like,
well, but how are you doing? How are you feeling right now?
Tell the people how you're doing. I'm able to, with medicine and with brace and with a cane and with just limited prayer. Like limited. I can get like around. Like I can do some walking. Not the cutest walk in the world, but at least it's not completely immobile like it's been. So that's a plus. Like you were initially. And so it's been weird. Meghan Markle and Harry met with Oprah, and
memes have been great.
They dropped some tea on the royal family. All tea we knew.
Yeah.
This is what this whole week is about.
That's true. That's a good point.
It's tea.
It's been a lot of like acknowledging shit that is already known, right? Like speaking of tea and drinks. It's been a lot of acknowledging of shit that's like already understood. From the royal family and all that good shit to New York's royal family. Well,
the best tea is the tea that you knew what you're about to drink.
You knew.
I don't want to drink no fucking tea I've never had before. Some fucking
or like I don't know the people, or I don't know the context, or I don't care. Like the good tea is like, ooh, I know all the players.
It's confirming tea.
It's confirming what I already knew. Like
Like we knew I watched The Crown. We all watched the fucking Crown.
Yeah.
It literally in The Crown episode 1 or whatever. It was like the Crown must win. It must always win.
Yes.
And for
do all things necessary.
And they will do all the things necessary to protect that crown. And for better or worse, even though I think I'll just say this, I think it was weird. The idea that you guys had the first black princess and then the first black prince, 1/4, black, but
right.
like I would have seen that if I would have seen that as an opportunity for an old, staid,
white
crown to be like, look at us diversifying London and England. Don't you love it? But instead, they saw it as an attack, and this is why the chickens are coming home to roost. Ultimately, though, the crown wins. It must always win.
Well,
and
which brings us to our crown here in New York.
Okay, so before we get into this, I just want to say disclaimer. Go listen to Cuomo-sexual, which is our old session.
This is session number 39. It was dropped almost a year ago. April 7th.
And we were keeping it a stack back then about very much what we're talking about now. And we saw it. Listen to it. We saw this day coming. And we say this all to say that...
Because everybody is well aware.
Yeah. Give the background.
Of the way in which Cuomo... Like all the shit that we're hearing tracks.
We all knew.
Like... Yeah, whether you're talking about the nursing home, situation, whether you're talking about the Cuomo Bridge, and how safe it is.
He just opened a bridge to his father for himself.
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, fun.
Just for an election. Or whether you're talking about, at least as of this recording, 7 women who have come forward. 7? It's 7, yes. There was another one that came out the other day. A reporter, I believe. So yeah, again, as of this recording, it remains to be seen how many more may come forward. And that's part of it, right? Like every day, it's just a drip, like another woman and another person, But yes, it's confirmed what's already understood about Cuomo and his style, and that is that he is a bully, that he is aggressive, that he, that I know many people who have worked for the administration, who currently work for the administration, who hate working there. People who have left, who hated it while they were there and found a way out, and people who are currently there and complain about the shits.
I don't want to go back. All of this started with the nursing home stuff, right? We actually say in Cuomo Sexual, we talk about the fact that Andrew Cuomo was very successful under the Trump administration. I think having a person, a Democrat, who talked like Trump and who was as aggressive, if not more so, but who was more effective, it felt empowering. I know there were people out there who loved it. We loved having our own version, but a better version. One who was effective and efficient at government. And people lived for it the moment, literally, January 20th, 1201. People were like, well, now that we have a normal president again, get the fuck out.
Get this guy.
We don't need this nasty attitude anymore.
Right.
Let's make something abundantly clear before we get into this conversation. Donald Cuomo,
Andrew Trump.
Right. Andrew Cuomo has been a bully. He has been scary. And when I say that, scary for your career. There are things that, like you said, people have been afraid to leave because they're afraid that if they go, they're done.
Yeah.
He is the most powerful
powerful figure in New York
in this state.
Yeah.
And he was born of one of the most powerful figures. He comes from one of those powerful families.
He's been powerful for many decades.
He's been, for many people,
and he's had
only
little
know
blips here and
Cuomo.
there, right? Like as he attempted to become governor, he had obviously had a failed run where he ran a little too early and all that. But I mean, people gave him a very nice soft landing spot as AG and allowed him to do that, and with the utter expectation that he would then eventually become governor and would do it for as long as he fucking cared to. At the very least, he would attempt to do it for that extra term that his father wasn't able to get. And that's why we're seeing him hang on so tightly.
Because he's trying to do something. I mean, I have for a while, and I don't know to what extent we want to give you the background on all of this, but I have for a while believed that there is no way he wins another term.
A fourth term, right.
Like a fourth term. I mean, maybe it's because nobody's done it before, but I have for a long time felt like, all right, the systems, the people in place will gather, right? Up until this point, we've had Cynthia Nixon and Zephyr Teachout. However you want to feel about them, and I know there's a lot of stuff on social media about it, they were not going to beat fucking Governor Cuomo. Yeah, we all know that. I voted for Cynthia Nixon.
I voted for her too.
And I knew she wasn't going to win. Like, I knew she wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
Like, it was in a lot of ways, it was a protest vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like, I didn't want to
care for this guy's governing style.
And then do a third term. So, one,
you know,
why are we having? We really do need fucking term limits, everybody. Like, enough. Like, for our statewide executives, probably 2 terms. If it's good enough for the president,
I'm definitely there.
Good enough for the mayor,
executives. Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure you are. And I'm sure if things were different, you'd be like, I don't know if I'm quite there for the executives yet.
Not at all. But, don't nobody have a monopoly on this shit.
But ultimately, it felt it's the same way when Bloomberg did a third term. For me, it felt like, all right, overkill, because this is the kind of shit that eventually happens, right? Yeah. You can only stay so long. One, New York voters are finicky as fuck. We get bored of you easily. Right. We stopped liking our mayor the day they get elected. The first snowstorm, we stopped liking them, which is why I'm like, I don't know how Andrew Yang wants to be be mayor, because the first fucking snowstorm, and the first time he says, I missed that area. Is there a command center? Oh my God.
Yeah.
New Yorkers are gonna lose their shit.
Lose their fucking shit.
With Andrew Cuomo doing another
fourth term.
It always seemed for me like an uphill climb. And if you told that to anybody, they look at you like, no, he's Andrew Cuomo. And this all goes to this fundamental fact, is that he scares the shit out of most people, even the most powerful people, no matter who you are, elected or not. He scares the shit out of people.
Chuck Schumer.
That's why when Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand came out to call for his resignation, I think that's what shocked the world. Yeah. And they probably did so with utter fear. Everyone's statements at the top levels have been measured. It's all been like, we believe in the investigation of AG and
all that good shit.
But we've seen enough, and it's incredible. I don't think it's going to work. He says he's not going to leave, and I believe him. Like he's on some fucking, and I'm not going.
And you,
Andrea, you're gonna elect me. You're gonna elect me. Yeah. Okay, guys, been drinking. I needed it.
Not much, but enough for that.
Enough. But he's not gonna go. Like
well, here's my thing, right? Like, I actually have a bet with somebody, which I'm probably gonna end up losing it. But and I made it a few weeks ago. But again, circumstances continue to change every fucking day, right? But like, I've maintained that, you know, the same way we said Teflon Don, you know, like it's Teflon Andy. I very much, you know, to your point, I very much see them as like two sides of a coin. They're very similar in the way they move about in the world and the way they see themselves fitting into the world that they live in. Differences, of course, right? Like all that shit. But there are very like clear stylistic similarities. But I mean, one of them is that like Cuomo stays winning. Any little thing, like he'll find a way to power through. And for various reasons, right? Like he is a privileged white man whose father was governor, and now he's governor, and he was HUD secretary and AG,
white privilege,
and you know who use all that white privilege
while
also claiming that he's a minority as an Italian.
Well, you know they call them, you know, quoting the Times here,
right? So just quoting the Times. But I maintained that like he will weather this storm. Another thing that like was an issue to me, you know, as all of this started to really bubble up, was that like a lot of people were dancing on his grave, I think, prematurely. And, you know, given the changing conditions, it might turn out to be like, whatever, who cares? But it definitely towards the beginning seemed to me like
risky,
right? Like the lefties who really can't stand him, and, you know, I don't care for him, but we're like jumping the gun a little too much.
Like the Alessandras and the Gustavos or Ron Kim.
Right.
Like they
and
were
that's
out
not
for
to
him.
say, and that's and please don't get me wrong. That's not to say that like even one allegation of sexual misconduct or you know, aggressive behavior towards your staff or harassment, that's not to diminish even one instance of that. But it's just looking at the facts on the ground and saying, yeah, I know, like, I know where people are. Right. He can still snap his fingers and be done with you.
He still has
so,
the
like,
other. He may not have the Mind Stone from Vision yet, but he got the other stones.
Other shit. Yeah.
he got the other
what you got.
Yeah.
So it's like you still have to, like, you know, this absolutely could have played out differently. And look, we're not done. Like, you know, it still remains to be seen how this ends.
Sitting there walking through fucking governor's mansion with his fucking
blankie,
with his fucking blanket, and that blanket
water.
looked rich,
right?
That blanket looked fucking fresh.
Like I'm sure it was embroidered with like the state seal.
Oh, the state seal. That cotton was picked.
Yes.
It was
by my ancestors.
It was picked by black people. Like they were like, look, find a black person to pick this motherfucking cotton, and then I want you to find me a fucking sheep, and I want them to shear that shit, and I want to be cotton and wool. I want to be cotton and wool together woven.
Quality shit.
I want this to be a sheep that's grazed in Ireland.
No, in New York. It all has to be New York.
I don't know. He might have
the best sheep
in fucking Tuscany. Shit. And I want that shit to have lived a perfect life before it was shaved. And then I want it killed. even though it can easily grow back his hair, I want it to be killed and then fed to me.
Thank you.
Liver first. Rich.
Yes. It's very but now he's struggling. He's struggling a bit. But yeah, no, I mean, I had a bet that like he'd be fine. He would weather this storm. You know, but again, you start like now, and I feel like people aren't even really focusing as much on the nursing home issue or the bridge.
Well, I never got the nursing home issue.
Which is very much a major thing. Like, yes, sexual harassment, you know, claims are absolutely a serious thing, but like, there's so much. Like, there's so much compounded right now.
Well, that's
why I'm more along like, all right, I'm probably going to lose this bet because I see this. So, my bet was that he would fill out the remainder of his term.
Yeah,
very particular about the language of the bet. I was like, I bet you he fills out the remainder of this term.
I still believe he will.
I see a situation where he decides not to run again. But you know,
he would have to announce that exactly. He would.
Yeah.
If it would.
But also,
the only way to
so
solve this is for him to say
anymore. Because ultimately, if the legislature moves towards impeachment, the votes are there. The votes are there.
You think the votes are there?
Absolutely, the votes are
there.
Even
in the Senate?
Yes, I feel like the votes are there in the Senate more than they are in the Assembly. The Assembly has had to come around later than the Senate has.
He's still a beloved figure by voters in certain parts of the state.
You got a Pat Fahey now talking about he should go.
Oh, well, that's different. I didn't know Pat was involved. You know I love me some Pat Fahey. I didn't know Pat. Look, my own boss was like, call for his resignation, but I'm like, Pat said.
But Pat said.
Oh, well, we got a different ballgame now. Pat said it. Miss Pat said it.
Miss Fahey.
Shout out to Pat Fahey.
Shout out to Pat
Fahey. Never heard about this
show. I know y'all don't know her at all.
Y'all don't know her, and she don't know the fuck this show is.
She loves her some me, though, but she absolutely has no clue what House Party is.
And she don't even know what the fucking podcast is. Right. She don't even know what the fucking podcast app looks like.
She's like, you have a radio program?
And if it is, she only listens to Brene Brown and fucking Super Soul Sessions by Oprah.
Go ahead, Pat.
Go ahead. But yeah, I think you're absolutely. I think you're wrong when you say you're gonna lose that bet. I don't. Here's my thing. Like, let's extrapolate this whole Avengers shit.
Okay.
He is Thanos, right? We all agree. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I know I was, I'll say this, other people were like big on like call for his resignation early, early, and was like, they saw it and they were like, nah, I'm good. And I was the one who was like, I don't know. And here's why. I am scared of Cuomo. And it's because I'm in a black place and brown people still love themselves some Cuomo. Like, we're very loyal voters.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it's very easy from an ideological standpoint, even if we fundamentally agree on the facts on the ground, right? The nursing home data, the workplace bullying, the bridge to nowhere, the sexual harassment, right? We can all agree that those things on their own are grounds for you to resign, right? Yeah. And other people would resign by now. But I was like, it's Cuomo.
AG Cuomo would have called on the people.
AG Cuomo would have called on it. Governor Cuomo would have called on it. Yeah. But it's Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo, who always figures it out. He always has a fucking plan, a backup plan. I know that's probably what he's trying to do now. Of course, this is the most existential crisis, and he could not have anticipated this. The moment he wrote that fucking book, that was a fucking downfall. He should never have signed up. That was a stupid That was dumb.
He was really, really, really feeling himself.
Like, that was out of control for him to write write a book in the middle of the height of the crisis.
Right.
It kind of.
Well, the other thing and not to interrupt, but like, just on that point though, like, it was always like surprising, interesting to me because he's never like
done that.
Yeah, like he's never, and I'm hesitating to say he's never sought the limelight, but like I don't think in a like unreasonable, egregious way, right? Like, he's obviously, he relished attention and limelight, but he's done it through the course of his job and his work and whatever.
He never seemed to go out of his way. He was
going out of his way to find a camera or anything like that.
This made
no
sense to me.
But he was really feeling himself through this pandemic.
And he knew there was going to be another fucking rise in the fucking pandemic. Like, there was already discussion that in the fall, in the winter, we were going to get another.
And especially knowing that we don't have the leadership on the federal level. It's like, bro, you can't control this shit.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if like we had a Joe Biden or anybody else, who was reasonable in the White House, who was dealing with this shit from a federal level in the right way, so that you could kind of like do the best you can on the state level, knowing that like the guy in the White House will got my back. If we kind of like fuck up over here in New York, or he'll protect New York from the other states because he's making sure that there's a federal plan or whatever. But like, we were in the wild fucking West where it was every state for themselves. Some doing stupid shit, others doing the best they possibly could of various parties, right? Like, you look at, Ohio's governor, and they dealt with it fairly well, and, he was a Republican. So, like, it was the Wild West.
By the way,
but you couldn't control this shit.
The nursing home data is not ours alone. There was a legitimate fear from Democratic legislators, Democratic executives, that deaths in nursing homes would be used as a cudgel by the Trump administration and the DOJ.
It was a real fear. It was a very, like, I get it.
He was using.
I think it's morally wrong to like.
Okay, but Bill Barr
hide shit because of that.
I know, but we were.
I get where it comes from.
We were all like, "Come on, everyone, stop the bullshit." We were at war last year with this man and his Justice Department, with the whole thing.
Right.
Donald Trump had to go, and if at the height of this, if he had been able to be like, look, even in these lockdown states,
right, in these blue states, where
look at them, all these people dying. They're killing. Right. They're making death panels in these fucking things. Like, y'all all know. I wouldn't even be surprised if the Biden administration knew about these numbers beforehand and was like, please don't do this to us, right? Like, which is partially probably why we don't hear from them. Like, oh, let's get stay out of this. Like, I would not be surprised somebody so close to be like, look, this is happening, and being like, this is rough. Please don't, they will use this against us in the election. Like, let's all remember, I know how easy it is in politics. We always say like a week, a month is a year in politics. Right. We were existential crisis, and if any of us were in the room and knew and been like, Donald Trump and Bill Barr will use this as a reason to cut funding, use it as a reason to attack Joe Biden, use it as a reason to bash this
or whatever, right?
We all would have sat there and been like, maybe we shouldn't share all that information. So let's all, like, I want to just take that piece apart. Ultimately, I think the way they ultimately decided to tell everybody seemed fucking like as though they thought it was like cool, like, hey, by the way, we lied, just like, because even Michigan's governor is being investigated.
I don't think that it was said in a, like, I think that was another mistake.
Michigan's governor is being investigated for the same stuff. Now all the Democratic governors are being investigated for the same things during it. And we all forget that the reason why they might have hid that data is because we were all scared that if we slipped up, that Donald Trump would use this.
We had a quote-unquote leader who,
and that would use this against us and lock us up and put people in. It was all, we cannot forget the circumstances of last year. It was a very toxic period.
Sure. And all that being said, I think there's still, at the end of the day, you're trying to manage a crisis. And I think that you have to put people's lives at the forefront. You have to put, like, don't have a press conference every fucking day and say, I'm going to tell you the truth. And, I don't know what the president's talking about, but I'm going to always tell you the truth. And I'm going to give facts. And there's a difference between facts. I can't do a Cuomo voice. And there's a difference between facts and opinion. And I'll give my opinion, but I'll give it based on the fact, and then proceed to not give everybody all the facts.
And also, maybe people would have made different choices if they had known that there was higher death rate in nursing homes. Maybe people did send their loved ones back, or send them to nursing homes thinking that they were safe places when in fact they were not.
Well, but look, I'll also say, there's more, and that's why I say the nursing home issue is a major fucking issue. Again, not to take away from any of these others, but does Cuomo have financial interests in nursing homes?
That's a good question.
Does he get donations from people who have financial interest in nursing homes?
He slid in financial
interest in homeless shelters. Yeah. So what other connections?
And in last year's budget, he slid in that whole piece that said the immunity deals.
Right. I want an investigation of this shit. And I don't care. I don't care if it's a Democratic governor or a Republican governor. Respect your peers and your other colleague. Well, he could have had a conversation with legislative leaders.
Could he?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well,
apparently not.
Objectively.
He just did, and they leaked it within moments.
Objectively, could the governor have spoken to legislative leaders and had a conversation about this and maybe talked through the best way to handle it, or what his concerns might be on the federal level, blah, blah, blah? Yes. But can Andrew Cuomo, who has never shown any respect to the legislature, do it?
That's what I'm saying.
No, probably not.
And
look where it lands you. Among one of several issues.
Well, this is where the larger kind of conversation and pivot comes to, which is Andrew Cuomo. He scares the shit out of me, and so I was advising people. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Because I don't know if this is the end. Even with the back-to-back sexual harassment cases, I'll be honest. I was like, these aren't strong enough that I believe that it's enough to end the reign of Andrew Cuomo. Especially this person who has so gripped our state for so long, and his father gripped it for so long, that this is not enough. And like you said, in the initial stages, I felt as though it felt kind of like the usual suspects were the ones who were like, obviously, duh. Alessandro Biaggi would fucking say Cuomo should resign if he jaywalked.
Right, yeah.
There would always be a reason for him to resign.
Yes.
Gustavo Rivera, great senator, he would want him to resign if he fucking littered.
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, all right, okay. So I'm not going to lie. I kind of didn't take some of this stuff seriously enough, because I was like, all right, well, this is the people who always want Cuomo to leave. It wasn't until I started seeing some of the, I always say, trust black women. It was even with it was Tish's investigation, and then Andrea Stewart Cousins coming up and being like, and I know, let's keep it a stack, because I think he has treated her so fucking poorly.
Oh yeah.
So she has
this last decade.
She has no reason to be like.
Yeah, she's no reason to go out of her way for that man
to go
at
out
all.
At all.
At all.
He has kept the IDC in power. Any opportunity she had to rise up, he stopped her bag. So she is probably like, fuck it, fuck him. All right. Who gives a fuck? I don't care. I got a super fucking majority. Right. Fuck him.
Yeah.
I hope she said it just like that. I know she's like an old auntie. Like, I hope she was like, I hope like when the doors close, you have the inside scoop with her people. I hope when the doors close, she was like, took her scarf off. She's like, fuck him. Fuck him.
Draft the statement.
Get him the fuck out of here.
But that's to my point, right? Like, this dynamic shift that we're seeing in the state ledge is like the Senate is actually the more like, you can make the case
even
the
Long
Senate
Island
is the more
4?
Progressive they're doing like is the more progressive, and I mean, I hate to kind of use those ideological things, because what does being progressive have to do with holding people accountable? Like, it shouldn't have to mean that.
But then
right?
you do have it's politics, and there's allies, and there's
exactly, like, and you think about your districts and whatever, and where people are,
and people and
we haven't even gotten to that point yet.
In Harlem,
right? Like, in terms of like the public,
there are district like Harlem, people love themselves with Cuomo.
Yes, everywhere, and it's not like there are. It's a generational
love
thing.
Them some Cuomo.
It's in part a racial thing. Like, it's all those things in play.
A lot of people remember Mario fondly.
People who love his dad. When I met Andrew Cuomo, all I said to him was, "I was a big fan of your father." It was a little petty, and
you don't even.
Sure, he read it that
way.
And
you don't even know. You were like 10 years. You were like 2 years old. I was 20.
I was 2.
Shit, I was meant to get an old joke in there, and I was too nice.
Right, you fucked it up.
Fuck, damn.
It's the injury.
It's my injury. Shit, I'm weak.
Not your A game.
I'm not my A.
Yeah,
I'll be there soon enough. Be back on my feet,
literally and figuratively.
I'll say this: the sexual harassment cases are jarring, especially the one where there's a person who he groped at the photo and stuff like that. Right, like, here's my thing about that is, like, this is the same shit. Like, we all let Biden get away with this stuff. This whole I'm a lovey-dovey, touchy-feely type of person.
Cuomo ain't. Like, and I know he's trying that, right? Like, I've learned.
I love that touch and grab.
Pisses me the fuck off. These like old white men who are like, I've now learned that, like,
that I can't rub your titties.
Lessons.
That I can't rub you in your. I can't rub your breasts when I say hello to you.
Exactly. That I can't like motorboat you.
You
when
just
I
learned that
randomly
today
meet you at a wedding. Like, what?
You can't roll up and be like, can I kiss you?
Put my hand on the small of your back. Have you remove it and then put my hands on your fucking face? And then think that's okay?
I can't ask you if you have
learned times have changed. No.
You got a boyfriend?
No. Do you like older men?
You like older men?
All of this sounds appropriate to you? I was having a conversation with a member who remained nameless and genderless and all of that. This member was like, "What? So we're not allowed to like date?" And I'm like, "No, of course, I'm not saying that at all, right? Like, things happen. Yes, we're around each other often, 24/7 type of work, but like, there are power dynamics at play. There are people's like just respect for space and like all that shit. And ultimately, and this is like a thing for me, and we talked about this before, right? Like, I generally am like I'm like uber professional.
You are.
Until you pierce that like veil, right? Like, if we truly become friends from a working setting, then cool, now we're friends.
Yeah.
But before that, like, I'm very much, and I could play and joke or whatever, but like and it's because like I feel like I'm always trying to fight against being seen as like,
you definitely are
and
more professional. I think I've said some things, even around people who we are friends with, but in a professional setting. Yes. I think you've even tried to stop me from like getting those like. I'm thinking, everybody, this is fun time. Play. No. He's like, no, we're not. Well, we are, but not. But like,
you gotta, it's a gray area, but you have to navigate it. But like that's just inappropriate. So it's like, so we're punishing him for not having no game. Yeah, I guess so. If you think that it's appropriate to just like constantly target young women who work for you,
especially when or hire them. Well, if you read them, he would hire them because they were hot.
Of that, that's a problem.
Like, no,
it's one thing to like fall in love with a colleague or like have chemistry. And
you don't give somebody a job just because they look good.
But right, exactly. But to target specific people because you want to try to talk to them or whatever. Like, yes,
and
hey,
using the leverage, using taxpayer money to get your dick wet,
using your position as governor of the fucking state.
And I think that's
that's why, like, I don't care that there's
that's the key piece right there.
Yeah, I don't care that there's
he's the most powerful person in the state.
Smoking gun, right? Like, there's no. Yeah, he didn't beat people during sex, a la Schneiderman. Or, he likely didn't rape anyone, and that's not being, no one's accusing him of something that egregious. There are levels to this shit, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that, like, unless you rape someone that you're A-okay. Like, no. Like, and what we're seeing is consistent, right? It's what we said earlier. Everything that we're seeing,
grown men are afraid of him, let alone a young woman.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Fresh, young in her career, like,
wanting to get a career in politics and shit.
Right. So, like, I don't know. It's this type of behavior. Like, I'm just like, go to work, do your fucking job.
I've always said that.
Cut it the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, you don't, like, why do you, someone's like, oh, so if you think someone's cute, you can't say they're cute. I mean,
not at work.
But not at work. Like, what is the purpose of that?
Yeah, what is the reason?
What is the reason? Like, what, I can think someone's cute. Why, if I meet with a lobbyist or an advocate or another member or whatever, and I think they're cute, what is the purpose of me saying that to them?
To get
why? Like, it's
wrong.
unprofessional.
It's unprofessional.
It's irrelevant to the work that has to be done.
Especially if you're more powerful.
Absolutely.
Like, I will say this. I'm attracted to power, so I'm never hitting on anybody under less powerful.
Not punching down. Okay?
I don't punch down. I will walk up to a senator and be like, "Hi."
So, heard you wanted to move some bills.
Like, I'll walk up to somebody with a lot more power than I do, because it's like. But no, you're absolutely right. I think there's a key piece that he is the governor, right?
Yes.
This isn't just any old body. And if you want a career in politics, for any of us, like I said, that's why I went in there. I was like, I'm afraid of this man. And because I've heard tons of stories of people who've worked for him, who've crossed him and his people, and the way they, I mean, we talked about this in our show years ago. Wow. The show's been on for a while. We talked about this in the show years ago when Rich Party called fucking the Jessica Ramos and Alessandra Biaggi and Yulene fucking idiots.
Yeah.
And that was okay.
And that was fine.
And I remember and like in my head, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And this is coming from me, who has called people fucking idiots, and it would never cross my mind in my official capacity.
Yes, right.
To ever write that on behalf of my principal,
right? Without understanding and knowing that clearly it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It would never cross my mind.
It's the culture. It's the way that he has no regard for the legislature at all. Doesn't give two shits. He never served as a legislator. He's never elected to that type of office. He's been the son of a governor. He's been an executive himself as HUD secretary, as AG, and now governor. He has no regard. And look, the governor of New York State, whoever it is, always has outsized power.
Especially around the budget.
It's just the way that our Constitution
is set up. And we're in the middle of budget season, by the way, everyone.
Yes. The way that the Constitution has interpreted our Constitution, like the way that the judiciary has interpreted our Constitution, says that the governor has outsized power. Like, Democrats have had to, in the legislature, we've had to push back against that fucking IDC. We've had to, like, get a supermajority in both houses in order to, like, still not have as much power as the governor, but at least creep up a little bit, right? Like, we've had to do so much to, like,
even meet him
have
halfway,
some muscles to flex, and even then,
when we're talking about three people in a room, you have to be three people. You got to be the speaker with a supermajority, and
the Senate leader with a supermajority, and versus
one guy. Yeah. I read the 50,000 page essay from the intelligence. Well, you should start. It's going to take about a week to get through it. I think it should be illegal to write stories that long. Most people read on mobile, which means that I'm going to be scrolling for days.
Like scrolling through this fucking thing, looking at this little whatever.
But it was
excuses. I'll read it.
But it was expose on.
What I did look at was Alessandra's tweets. I mean,
the text messages from what you call Melissa DeRosa.
Oh yeah,
it was like you fucking nasty, vile. I mean, the shit she was
also like she tweeted like her shit. She was like, "You're a bad person.
You're a bad."
Like, okay,
she wanted to call her a bitch, and you know she did. Right. You know she absolutely.
But my thing is like, just call her a bitch then. Like, what is it?
Like, you can get away with
already in her text.
You're already in her text.
Egregious shit.
You really
so she could easily screenshot.
And I have a rule about
Biaggi my screenshot of that shit immediately.
Is there any laws against? I have a rule against coming in my text messages on hot. Don't come in my text messages hot. Because I will call you.
I was gonna say, then you'll pick up the phone and have conversations.
Yeah, because I will call you. Because I'm not gonna sit there and let you come in my text. Because that's just stressful.
Having to read and like they all come in.
And you being called names.
What sound was that?
Huh?
What sound was? What did you just? What's the sound? Oh, is that how your text messages sound?
Okay, that's the grinder sound. Anyway, I apologize to the kids. House party for the kids.
Continue with your point.
But yeah, they I was like reading it. And I'm like, she's basically like, you vile fucking person. I was like, this is just a business. I actually like Alessandra's responses because they were like, I'm just trying to do my job. Like,
right. Those are the responses of somebody who is literally
screenshotting
in the moment.
Like she's like, oh, I'm not gonna get caught slipping here.
Right, exactly.
I'm sure her reaction was to be like, you fucking,
like, oh,
you fucking nasty motherfucker.
Right,
like,
exactly.
especially when two white women get at it. Oh yeah, it could be reckless.
Yes.
Like, oh my god, two wealthy ones, two powerful ones.
Right.
What, from rich, powerful families?
Yes.
What? Oh shit! Y'all ain't never watched Desperate Housewives or any of them fucking shows. Is like, or any of the Real Housewives.
Right,
like they will fuck each other up.
Yeah.
So I love Alessandra being like,
oh,
no,
shit.
I'm not doing that with you.
Like, wow, I'm sorry you feel that way. I just want to do
my
public statements.
I just want to do what's best for my district, okay? And I need you to understand. I'm like, girl, I see you. I actually gave her a little.
What I want to see are the text messages that you sent your friends.
Yeah, the ones
you were getting.
The ones when you were like, can you believe what this?
You see that? I took screenshots, but I wanted to tell her.
Of this motherfucker calling me a bad motherfucking person. I'm from the Bronx. I will
from Riverdale.
I'm from Riverdale, okay? Like I will.
I said Riverdale, but it's actually fucking Kingsbridge.
I'm from Throsneck. I will fuck you up. Throsneck is not very. Like, if you ever been to Throsneck, it's not.
From the Major Deegan, what?
The Cross Bronx Expressway,
right.
my mother. Like, but ultimately, I was like, the whole thing really did tell a tale of not just about Cuomo himself, but about a culture. The rich as a party calling them fucking idiots. Melissa DeRosa calling people vile, nasty humans just for tweeting something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's just this idea that you have to wear pretty dresses and that if you saw a girl that he liked, all of a sudden you get a job offer the next day.
Right.
And that job offer obviously be contingent upon, and people will come in and be like, oh, the governor likes you, so keep it up, or look extra pretty when he comes in. And there was this culture and this
move you from the city office to the Albany office, or whatever.
It would all be related to what he wants, and a part of it was this culture that is fed by utter power. And this is why we need term limits. This is why he can't do a fourth term.
It's also why we need to stop electing specifically white men.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, ultimately, they have been, you have to understand, these people have been in power for so long that just like I said, who's going to check me, boo?
Yeah.
Like, and this is coming from somebody who can easily be checked.
like, don't let that mouth of his fool you. He can be checked.
I can be checked. And yet I still got a mouth on me and I'm still going to fight. 9 times out of 10, usually people are non-confrontational. One of the things that I've learned is that people are non-confrontational. So if they try to confront you and you come at them at a 10, most people will back the fuck up. Right? So it's a tool that I've used. It's a great effect.
Don't give away all your secrets.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna give away a few, but most people are non-confrontational. They open their mouths without being prepared for a response.
Yes.
It's like
for an equal
and greater response.
Yes.
And as long as you remember that, you'll always be able to be successful, kids. But seriously, like, I think one of the things that I was like, he can't be checked. He has not been able to. What has proven to him that he can be checked? Right. He held up. He controlled the IDC. I don't care what the fuck he says.
Yeah.
He was able to. When he decided they were done, they were done.
When he said, "All right, fine, y'all can have it,"
you're done. He decided. Oh, he held up gay marriage for years, and then all of a sudden, when he was good and ready, all of a sudden dropped it.
It's like everything else, right? Like, and that's why I say it's to your point. It's a culture. It's his governing style. Like everything, and this is it's a pattern. It's like $15 minimum wage. He was against it. He was against it. He was against it. Advocates pushed for it. Legislators pushed for it. Caucus members carried this bill for years. And then it's like once he decides, or once the condition, like he'll hold it up. He'll hold it up. Something changes. The condition changes,
he back
is against the wall a little bit on something else. Yes, absolutely. And then he will be like, oh well. Don't these people want some $15 minimum wage? Okay, cool. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And let's dangle that in front of them. Get that done. I'll take all the credit. But we'll get it done, and they'll.
That's
be so
why indoor dining got approved all of a sudden.
Right. Exactly. So
right when shit was going down for him,
the pattern
indoor dining
again.
came
it's
back.
like, oh shit. Now they're attacking. All right. let's increase New York City's indoor dining shit, increase everybody's shit. What else can we give them, right? Like,
let them do whatever.
By the end of this, like, again, by the time, like, of this recording, there's been 7 women who have come forward. We're embarking on a new week. It could be any number. And we will see the response, right? Like,
well, he's
gonna start showing up at your door, giving you vaccines.
Yeah, here you go, right in ya. Free vaccines for everyone. Don't you love it? You love the vaccine.
Cuomo vaccine. We about to pass marijuana.
He'll just drop bags
in like a couple
of vaccines
days.
And weed.
He'll drop
bags of weed and with a little vaccine inside of it.
Dime bag next to
It's like, here you go.
Give people whatever they want. Oh, you want sports betting here. You want weed here.
Here you go. I'll tax the rich.
I'll tax the rich.
What did you want? What y'all want? What you need?
Yeah, what y'all
legalize
DSA
heroin.
members want. Right. You want a little crack cocaine as a treat? Here you
legalize cocaine. I used to love it back in my young days. Legalized.
Yeah, whatever y'all want. What other drugs can I sprinkle on there?
Wasn't my favorite. Little blow every now and then. You know, it's a Clinton administration.
We were all doing it.
We were all doing it. Oh, I loved that time. Oh, the 90s.
But yeah, and I think that's very much where his mind is. But again, like, people are tired, but not everybody. You know, like we said, like, there are people I've been out. We've been out here, right?
People
like,
love him to Cuomo.
It's election season. Out here collecting, getting petition signatures for folks. You're doing all this stuff. Like, people. I talk to people on the streets who are like, "Oh, why people coming after Cuomo? It's the Republicans." I had a woman in the Bronx yesterday tell me that Joe Biden is framing Andrew Cuomo to keep Andrew Cuomo from running against Joe Biden in 2024.
Maybe he is.
I said, "Ma'am, have a nice day."
Maybe he is. Dun, dun, dun.
Like, it's just like, people are twisting themselves.
It's a cult of personality. I mean, that's what the New Yorker, the Intelligencer article. It's a New York magazine, right? Or New Yorker.
New York Mag.
New York Mag.
Yes.
Can't tell the difference, y'all. Not well read. But the Intelligencer article, they discuss, the cult of personality that forms around a politician.
Yeah.
Particularly one that powerful, particularly one with that name brand, right? I mean, he was married to a Kennedy. Like, his kids are Kennedys and Cuomos. I was on their Instagrams today because why not? Like, I can't walk.
But okay. I can't walk. So might as
well sit on Instagram.
Look at these kids.
And so I'm on Instagram, and I was like, and I'm like seeing them out I'm seeing them out like at Hyannisport with their boyfriends. I'm like, why are they at Hyannis? I'm like, oh my God, they're Kennedys. I keep forgetting. Yeah. Like, like, even if this empire falls, the empire will strike again. It's a fucking Kennedy Cuomo.
Right.
You're trying to tell me that New York Democratic clubs in fucking 50 years won't be like, or 20, not even 10 years, 15 years, be like, see a Kennedy
Michaela,
Cuomo?
oh, yes.
Michaela Kennedy Cuomo? Yes.
Yeah.
Give her to us now.
Right.
Won't be like, all right, maybe she'd be a good, like, lieutenant governor, and we could get her in there.
Oh, let's make her a senator.
Yeah, right. Like,
yes.
So don't tell me that, like, this dynasty's over. He's.
Well, again, if it's up to him, it's certainly not over.
It's certainly not over yet. I will say that this cult of personality that forms around politicians, and this is just what it boils down to. This is why this show is the greatest show of all.
It's okay to have a cult of personality around us, y'all.
Yeah, but because we don't have a cult of personality, we don't believe in the cult of personality around politicians. They love us for that, I think. So they say. I hope. But there's many of them walk around where people, entourage, and these are people who are by and large broke. Like, it's like they're not making that much money, and yet they walk around with 2, 3, 4 people around them, taking pictures of them, holding their bags, grabbing their things, telling them they're amazing. You did amazing, sweetie. Like, and this is at the lowest levels, right? Yeah. And over time, there does form. I know even your faves, and I've worked for some of y'all faves. Even your faves,
some of y'all work for
some of y'all faves. Work for some of your faves. Aren't the nicest people in the world, and they're. Politics is not play. It's not nice. It's not bubblegum and candy canes. I think everybody kind of goes into it.
Ain't beanbag.
It ain't beanbag. It ain't fucking. It's mean. It's a mean sport. It's a sport nonetheless.
It's petty. It's
aggressive because it's
grudges.
It's about it's a person. It's a people business.
Right. Absolutely.
And so obviously everything's personal, even if it's not supposed to be.
Right. And it's not. It shouldn't be. It's not.
It's supposed to be legislating and helping people and making laws, but ultimately, it is a people business.
Yeah. It's who did you support? Did you support me?
And did I support you? Right. You're making calculations, and a lot of people are making calculations. All right, this powerful figure, can he be beaten this time? Honestly, this is the closest when Schumer and Gillibrand came out, and the 59 legislators and the majority leader and even Speaker Hasty in a sort of way all came out and were like, yeah, you might have to go. I was like, yo.
I mean, you had, I thought it was major when like Congresswoman Rice, like Kathleen Rice was like, you gotta go.
Well, that's because Kathleen Rice would take any job at the top.
She's like, make Tish the governor and send me on over to
the AG's office. Kathleen Rice, if we go on a fucking go on BOE right now, and I bet you find Kathleen Rice, Rice 2021 government AG's race
22, 24, just open up accounts just in case.
Okay,
just to be ready.
So Kathleen Rice didn't even vote for fucking Nancy Pelosi. So let's not make it seem as though she's like a paragon of voting.
Well, no, but it just goes to show you that now people are
side.
Yeah, but now people are like they feel like, ooh, I can make the the political calculations that are beneficial to me, as opposed to what you said earlier, right? Like where people were operating out of fear from Andrew Cuomo, and now they're not.
Yeah,
and now they're making it's like a brand new day, right? Like they don't have to make calculations based off of fear of what he will do to them. They feel emboldened,
but he better
to be able to make other calculations.
You better hit
their
the head,
own personal
like they said in Infinity War,
political shit, right? Yeah, you
should have aimed for my head.
Should have taken.
This has to be the everyone,
and that's why my initial position, again earlier on, whatever, was like, y'all
gotta
be careful dancing on his grave too soon, because he is Teflon Andy, and he is consistently shown that he will weather any storm.
When I saw a picture of him on the phone with his Saratoga water, I'd be like, who he talking to?
Right.
That sounds like a
that is only your attorney.
Yeah.
That is only your PR people helping to spin your shit. Like
somebody.
Yeah. You
Biden
taking a call outside the house, wrapped in a blankie.
Oh no, this is a deep conversation.
Yes, exactly.
It's a plan.
That's one of those ones where you laid up on the kitchen counter, feet up in the air.
This is a plan being hatched. Yeah. That's what I saw.
Yes. This is when I've been in many of these positions.
Yeah, this is a plan being hatched,
where you are completely unaware of like your surroundings because you're so engrossed in the conversation that you had. Again, that's even more proof. Just go, bro.
That's true. That's true.
Like, if it's reached a point where Andrew Cuomo, who is like put together, in charge, in control, is wrapped in a blankie, walking around the governor's like, all right, bro, like you're falling apart. You're falling apart, sweetie.
I mean, there's also the aspect of resignations come where you can no longer govern. That's my question. What we do with the budget, right? Ultimately, if they're still working with him to sign this budget and to get this budget done,
we got 2 weeks until the budget's due.
Then how do you say I want you gone, and then also say, hey, let's get this budget done?
Also, can we slip these things?
Hey, can you help my district out here?
Can you edit your budget proposal to include this thing? Like, right? Yeah, exactly. No, don't impeach me, and then sure, I'll do it. Like, it's just that's not a great, that's not a good negotiating stance for anybody.
Yeah. And so I imagine he would at least try to, like I said, if this happens, then this needs to be off. Y'all got to finish the job. And I say y'all.
I was going to say, you need to stop with this y'all shit.
Y'all listening. And I know a lot of y'all are elected officials listening, and a lot of y'all call for his resignation.
Get it done.
Win. Right? We're here with you. We're like in that last scene in Endgame. We're like
this analogy going.
We're Scarlet Witch and Captain Marvel. So we can finish it if we chose to. But we're waiting like they did until the last Captain Marvel could have fucking ruined his life decades ago. And she chose to wait to this exact moment. I think we had a really good conversation on all of this. And so everybody, you know what to do. Let us know. Hit us up. Let us know what you think. We always want to talk about that. We always want to hear your thoughts. And obviously, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. And like we don't really use Facebook like that.
Subscribe and join on Patreon and tell your friends and tell a friend to tell a friend.
And rate us 5 stars right now. Go do that.
Yeah, go do it.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.